All right, so we're going to talk about something that doesn't get a ton of attention. There's a lot of articles out there, but I don't hear about a lot of people actually doing this. So this may be one of the least watched videos because we're going to dive into something that you probably don't want to do. So if I haven't driven you off, let's just get into it. So first of all, I'm Adam with the Productivity Academy, and today we're going to be talking about tracking your time, the benefits of doing it, kind of why we avoid it, and then how you can actually do this. So it's kind of a short video. If you'd like more details, leave a comment below. Happy to dive into this some more. But it's been on my mind since I've been using tools for a while to try to track my time. Once I, years ago started coming across ideas of hey, if you're not, using your calendar, blocking off your time, you're probably going to end up assigning yourself so many tasks that, you can't get them done. You have 23 things on your task list, and that's great. It's a step up from not having a list or knowing what you should be doing. But a lot of times we end up with that list, and it's well, I have to get that done, but you may only have 3 hours unblocked. You may have meetings or other requirements. So the first step is just understanding how much time you have, and by using your calendar of some sort or some sort of time mechanism, you really start to get a better understanding for how much time you actually have available, and then how much time it takes to do some of these tasks. A lot of this stuff, over time, you find yourself doing the same sort of thing. You may not do the exact same thing, but it may be, I'm writing an email. This generally takes 15 minutes. Or you may find, wow, I have to go in and format it and do all this stuff. I thought writing an email would only take 10 minutes, but that's just the writing. Then I have to do all this other stuff. It takes 30 minutes. And that's one of the real big benefits, is starting to get this handle on your time. And then long term is starting to kind of match that up with, hey, is this how I want to be spending my time? So you can be a little bit more intentional about your time, what you're doing with it. Does it line up with reality of okay, here's what I think I'm doing, but is that what I'm actually doing? And then combining that and saying, okay, in the future, how do I want to move forward and spend my time appropriately so I'm doing what I want to do? So part of this is brought forth just by, it's been on my mind. It's really important, and it's tough. Time tracking is not something that's easy. There's some products out there. You could just use a notepad and pen and paper. I've done that before, and that's certainly how I did it the first time. So I challenge you, if you want to try this and you don't have a method for this yet, is to just pull out a piece of paper and line it off, break it up into 30-minute segments for rough business hours, however you want to define that, and then write down, just keep it next to you and write down what you're doing, or rather what you've done for the previous 30 minutes. And do this for at least 2 days. It's difficult. Most people don't do it. I know, you might have missing gaps. Don't beat yourself up. Just try to do it. If you miss, you look down, you're it's been 90 minutes since I filled it out. Just go back, do what you can. At least 2 days. If you can do it for a week, that's even better. And, if you've never done this, I think it's going to be very illuminating for you and showing you what you're actually spending your time on, and writing down those little things I picked up my phone and, did this instead. I had a deep work block where I was going to spend 2 hours doing this, but actually I ended up looking at my email and did that, and just writing little notes like that to yourself. Not, no judgment, write down what you're doing. Nobody else has to see this stuff. And that is one great way to get started. If you're wanting to go a little bit deeper with this, wanting to automate it a little bit, or you've already done this and you realize it's important, you can get a device like the Timeler device. So this is one I've been using for a long time. I interviewed, and I'll link to this, the founder of Timeler. We did a podcast interview with him. Fantastic. Lots of cool information in there. But this is one where you can flip it over. It's connected via Bluetooth to the computer, and then whatever side is facing up is what it's recording time. And it's got a little app that keeps track of that, so you can see, how much time you spent doing whatever it is you assign to that. If you're not sure how to get started with that, what I recommend with the Timeler device is maybe starting out with Mike Michalowicz's Clockwork. He has the 4 Ds, which are doing, deciding, delegating, and designing. So with that, that's a great way, I think, to start spreading apart your time and see what you're doing. Are you spending all of the time doing? So tasks like writing that email, scheduling the email, formatting the email, or instead, are you delegating, right? Are you kind of moving up the food chain, or rather deciding would be the next one, right? Is somebody asking you questions, or are you higher up where you're delegating and you've done a good job of deciding, you've got processes, and then are you also spending time designing, which is kind of the higher level, maybe CEO type idea of like looking forward. Are you designing moving forward with your business? And everyone, of course, has a mix of this. Nobody, just does delegating. Nobody just does deciding. But starting to really analyze your time and say, what am I spending my time doing? Is it effective? And is it what I want to be doing? So circling back, this is, like I said, it's a tough one. Even if it's automated, you do have to set up some reminders for yourself to look at this and to remind yourself what you're kind of aiming for. For me, I find that incorporating this into a weekly review is good, and just saying, hey, I'm going to look back at my kind of Timeler timesheet and be like, hey, does this make sense? I'm not analyzing it to the minute, but just saying, hey, am I actually spending my time on what I want to be doing or need to be doing? And then you can go back and start kind of creating your calendar as you want. And, this is totally up to you. It depends on your situation, right? If you're flexible in the sense that either you work for yourself, you own a business. If you're an employee, you may have a lot more restrictions, but starting to do what you can. Is there a project you want to work on? Then, okay, maybe that better be in the morning. Maybe it could be in the afternoon, and starting to move things around so that you can get the things done that you want to do. That kind of makes sense in the long run. I'm not going to go into goal setting and all of that, but this is not a very sexy thing in the sense that it's tough to do, but I love the results. The results can be so big from this, and especially if you haven't done this before, this is such a cool eye-opener. So really encourage you to give it a shot. Just get a sheet of paper out, write down for the next 2 to 3 days, in 30-minute intervals, what is it you did? And just make any loose notes. And after that, you're going to want to sit down, review that, and see what you can improve in the sense of, oh, okay, I realized I'm really doing this. What I want to be doing is that, and here's how I'm going to kind of bridge that gap. So hopefully this is helpful for you. Some great tools and a great actually article on this by Taylor Pearson that I'll include. I love this article, and he showed his calendar and how he actually did some experiments with himself in a more organized way. So for those of you wanting to dive deeper into that, I think that that's a great article to take a look into and kind of see how someone actually implemented the calendar side of this.